in the quiet suburban streets of Surrey, British Columbia. A tragedy unfolded on June 18, 2023, that would forever alter the diplomatic landscape between two Commonwealth nations. Hardeep Singh, Nijjar, Canadian citizen, and prominent Sikh activist, was gunned down in broad daylight outside the Guru Nanak Sikh Gurdwara, a sacred temple where he had served as president. This brazen assassination, carried out with chilling precision, would become the spark that ignited a diplomatic inferno, stretching across continents, revealing deep-seated tensions that had been simmering beneath the surface of Canada-India relations for decades. The reverberations of that fatal shooting would echo through the halls of power in Ottawa and New Delhi for months to come. What began as a criminal investigation into a murder on Canadian soil transformed into an unprecedented diplomatic crisis. When Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made a stunning accusation that would shake the foundations of international diplomacy, the allegations would not only strain bilateral relations between Canada and India, but would also expose the complex web of geopolitics surrounding the Khalistan movement, a decades-old separatist cause that continues to divide communities and nations. To understand the magnitude of this crisis, one must first grasp the significance of the Khalistan movement itself. Khalistan, which literally means land of the pure in Punjabi, represents the dream of an independent Sikh homeland carved out of the Punjab region. This separatist movement has its roots in the partition of India in 1947, gaining momentum through the 1970s and 80s, as Sikh communities felt increasingly marginalized in post-independence India. The movement reached its tragic peak during the dark period of the 1980s, culminating in Operation Blue Star in 1984, when the Indian military stormed the Golden Temple in Amritsar to remove militants, and the subsequent assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi by her Sikh bodyguards. The Khalistan issue had long been a source of friction between Canada and India, primarily because Canada is home to one of the world's largest Sikh diasporas, numbering over 700,000 people. Among this community, support for Khalistan varies significantly, from those who actively campaign for an independent Sikh state, to those who simply seek greater autonomy for Punjab within India. However, the Indian government views all forms of Khalistan advocacy as terrorism and separatism, creating a fundamental disagreement with Canada, which allows such political expression under its Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Hardeep Singh Nijjar embodied this complex dynamic perfectly. Born in Punjab, India, Nijjar had immigrated to Canada in the 1990s, eventually becoming a Canadian citizen and establishing himself as a plumber, while also emerging as a vocal advocate for Khalistan. The Indian government had designated him as a terrorist and had been seeking his extradition. Allegations that Nijjar and his supporters vehemently denied, claiming he was a peaceful activist exercising his right to free speech. His murder outside the Surrey temple where he preached would transform him from a local community leader into an international symbol of the broader tensions surrounding Sikh separatism. The initial investigation into Nijjar's murder proceeded along conventional lines, with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police treating it as they would any other homicide. However, as investigators delved deeper into the case, they began uncovering evidence that suggested this was no ordinary killing. The professional manner of the execution, the apparent surveillance of Nijjar before his death, and intelligence gathered from various sources, began painting a picture that extended far beyond the boundaries of a local crime scene in Surrey. On September 18, 2023, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau rose in the House of Commons to deliver what would become one of the most explosive statements in recent Canadian diplomatic history, with measured words that carried the weight of international consequence. Trudeau announced that Canadian intelligence agencies had uncovered credible allegations, linking agents of the Indian government to the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. The chamber fell silent, as the implications of these words sank in, for the Prime Minister was essentially accusing a fellow democracy and Commonwealth partner of conducting an assassination on Canadian soil. The Indian government's response was swift and unequivocal, with officials in New Delhi categorically denying any involvement in Nijjar's death and dismissing Trudeau's allegations as absurd and motivated. External Affairs Ministry spokespersons characterized the accusations as politically motivated attempts to appease Sikh separatist elements within Canada's electorate. India's Foreign Minister Subramanyam Jaishankar went further, suggesting that Canada was providing a safe haven for terrorists and extremists, thereby endangering the security of both nations. The diplomatic fallout was immediate and severe, resembling a carefully choreographed dance of retribution that would unfold over the following months. Within days of Trudeau's announcement, both countries began expelling each other's diplomats in a tit-for-tat escalation that would see dozens of diplomatic personnel forced to leave their posts. Canada expelled an Indian diplomat identified as the head of the Research and Analysis Wing, India's external intelligence agency, while India responded by ordering a Canadian diplomat to leave New Delhi within 5 days. The crisis deepened in October 2023, when India demanded that Canada reduce its diplomatic presence in the country by more than 40 personnel, effectively gutting Canada's diplomatic mission in one of the world's most populous nations. This unprecedented move forced Canada to withdraw numerous diplomats, including those working on trade, consular services, and cultural exchanges. Severely hampering bilateral relations across multiple sectors, the practical implications were immediate, as Canadian citizens in India found it increasingly difficult to access consular services, while business relationships that had taken years to build began to deteriorate. The impact extended far beyond diplomatic protocol into the realm of economics and trade, where both nations began to feel the sting of political discord. India suspended negotiations on a proposed trade agreement that had been years in the making, while Canadian businesses operating in India reported increased scrutiny and bureaucratic obstacles. The tech sector, which had seen growing collaboration between Canadian and Indian companies, particularly felt the chill as visa approvals slowed and joint ventures faced uncertainty. The situation took another dramatic turn in October 2024, when the Royal Canadian Mounted Police made an unprecedented public statement, revealing that they had evidence of a broader campaign of violence orchestrated by Indian agents on Canadian soil. Police Commissioner Mike Duham announced that police had evidence linking Indian government agents not just to Nijjar's murder, but to other criminal activities targeting members of the Sikh community in Canada. This revelation prompted Canada to expel 6 more Indian diplomats, including India's High Commissioner, marking one of the most significant diplomatic expulsions in Canadian history. The geopolitical implications of this crisis extend far beyond the bilateral relationship between Canada and India, touching on fundamental principles of international law and sovereignty that govern relations between nations. The allegation that one country's agents carried out an assassination on another nation's soil represents a violation of the most basic tenets of the Westphalian system of international relations. If proven true, such actions would constitute a serious breach of international law, similar to cases like the assassination of Jamal Khashoggi in Turkey or the poisoning of Sergei Skripal in Britain. The crisis has also exposed the challenges facing Western democracies in balancing their commitment to free speech and human rights with the security concerns of strategic partners. Canada's position illustrates the delicate balance that immigrant-receiving nations must maintain between protecting the rights of diaspora communities to engage in political expression and managing the diplomatic consequences of that expression. The Trudeau government has consistently maintained that while it does not support the Khalistan movement, it will defend the right of Canadian citizens and residents to express their political views peacefully. As this diplomatic drama continues to unfold, it serves as a stark reminder of how historical grievances and contemporary geopolitics can collide in unexpected ways, transforming local communities into global flashpoints. The case of Hardeep Singh Nijjar and the subsequent crisis between Canada and India demonstrates how the legacy of partition, the dynamics of diaspora politics, and the principles of sovereignty can intertwine to create conflicts that transcend borders and challenge the foundations of international diplomacy. The resolution of this crisis will likely require not just diplomatic skill, but a fundamental reckoning with the complex realities of identity, belonging, and justice in an interconnected world. The Canada-India diplomatic rift represents more than just a bilateral dispute. It is a window into the complex challenges that define our modern world, where historical wounds, diaspora politics, and national sovereignty intersect in ways that can reshape international relations overnight. As we have seen, the assassination of one man in Surrey, British Columbia, has exposed fault lines that run deep through the heart of Commonwealth relations, democratic values, and the very principles that govern how nations interact with one another. This crisis reminds us that in our interconnected world, local events can have global consequences, and that the pursuit of justice often requires navigating the treacherous waters of international diplomacy. What do you think about this unprecedented diplomatic crisis between Canada and India? And how do you believe it should be resolved? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive into international relations informative and engaging, please consider subscribing to West is Best. For more in-depth analysis of the stories that shape our world, hit that notification bell to stay updated on the latest developments in global politics. And do not forget to share this video with friends and family who might be interested in understanding the complex dynamics of modern diplomacy. Until next time, this has been West is Best, bringing you the stories that matter, told with the depth and nuance they deserve.